Welcome to the Happy Black Woman Podcast, where we're on a mission to empower women to transform their lives through personal development and entrepreneurship. We bring you all the information, inspiration, and motivation you need to create a life of happiness, success, and freedom. Now, please welcome your host, the happy Black woman herself, Rosetta Thurman.
Hello, ladies. It's Rosetta Thurman, founder of HappyBlackWoman.com, coming to you for this week's episode of Happy Black Woman TV. It's my weekly show where I am coming to you live to chat with you about a specific topic and give you some insight, resources, and tools you can use to create your ideal life. And today's topic is authenticity. More specifically, there's a question. Are you living an authentic life? Are you living an authentic life? And just so that we're all clear, the way that I'm talking about authenticity today is, are you being real? Are you being true to yourself in your life and everything that you're doing? So thank you for joining me. And I want to share with you how this topic came up for me. So I love podcasts. I was actually listening to one of my new favorites called the Good Life Project podcast. It's run by Jonathan Fields. And he had on one of my favorite guests. I got on his podcast because I loved his guest. His guest on his podcast recently was Mark Nepo. Mark Nepo wrote one of my favorite books of all time, The Book of Awakening. And he's a poet, he's a philosopher, he's a spiritual teacher. He's just amazing and one of Oprah's best friends. So, of course, he's good with me. So anyway, Jonathan Fields had Mark Nepo on his podcast. And he said a quote. I was listening to it on the plane, actually, heading to my Happy Black Woman retreat in Hawaii that I just completed. And the quote was so good, I had to write it down. So I got my notebook, I wrote it down, and I wanted to share it with you as inspiration for today's topic. And so what Mark Nepo said was, to live a good life, we have to live an authentic life. If we live an authentic life, chances are it will be good. And this was in response to a question that Jonathan Fields asked Mark Nepo about what does it mean to live a good life? And that is a question that we talk about here all the time at the Happy Black Woman Tribe, at our live events and online. And so I wanted to pose that question to you. Like, instead of asking yourself, are you living a good life? Are you living a happy life? Are you living an authentic life? Because that is the key to so much of our happiness. So I want to read you the quote again. Again, this is by Mark Nepo. To live a good life, we have to live an authentic life. If we live an authentic life, chances are it will be good. And what this brought up for me was my own experience. I always teach from my own experience. And for me, it took me back to the years of my life when I was really figuring out myself. And I found myself really chasing after a vision that was not mine. When you're not living a life that's true to you, often you can get off track and you don't even know you're off track. And the way that you know you're off track is you wake up one day and you think to yourself, how did I get here? What is this life that I'm living? Who is this woman that I have become? And it wasn't by design, it was by accident. And so I wrote about this in my journal, and I'm not going to, read you everything that I wrote, but I wanted to give you the spirit of it for today's training around, are you living an authentic life? And so, I was journaling about, I said, I want to write about what it feels like when you find yourself again, when you do away with the striving and posturing and pursuit of what you thought was success. And I remember at certain times in my life, I was striving for things that I thought were success, but they weren't my version of success. I was striving for what I thought would make me happy, but it wasn't my version of happy, but someone else's version of happy. And this came up for me with visions and plans that my grandparents had, my grandfather had for me, my mother had for me, my grandmother had for me. These are all influential people in my life, and there are people in your life too that may have influenced you subconsciously. You didn't even know it. And so you looked up one day and you're like, what am I doing here? So when I was in college and just growing up, my grandfather, he always wanted me to be a lawyer. That was just something that was ingrained in me that, I would be a lawyer. And you're talking to someone that, I'm more of a right brain person than a left brain person, even though I run a company where we do, business training and personal development training. I'm really more of a right brain person. I'm a creative person. I have been a writer since I could read and write, since I can remember. And yet the message that I got was, go to school, go to law school, get a good job in the legal field, and you'll be wealthy, you'll be safe, we'll be proud of you. And so that's what I always knew I was going to do. I was going to go to college. I was going to go to law school. I was going to be a lawyer. I didn't know what being a lawyer was. Now, of course, I grew up with the Cosby Show and seeing what was possible when you had a good career, doctor, lawyer, stuff like that. So I was on board with it until I got into college and I started exploring what I really wanted for myself. And it became very clear to me that being a lawyer was not authentic to me. And it was like, I felt it. And then I really got it when I went to take the LSAT and my score would not put me into a, good law school. And I really had to say to myself, like, Rosetta, do you really want to be a lawyer? Like, is this really for you? I was already taking pre-law classes. I was already, setting myself for a career as a lawyer. My grandfather put that in me, and it wasn't malicious. Like, he wanted the best for me as his, granddaughter, his baby girl. He wanted me to not have to struggle like, him, my grandmother may have had to struggle. So a lot of the influences that you have from being a child are not negative. Like, it wasn't mean or anything, but you just got to know where they came from. So I learned that that was not the career for me. And sometimes it takes something confronting you for you to say, oh my gosh, this is not for me. So, I had the feeling like I was an English major in college. I wanted to write poetry. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be the next Nick Giovanni. But people said, you can't get paid, doing that. So I kind of put it to the side and I said, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer. But I pushed it away, pushed the feeling away. And I kept going. I went to the law school college fairs and I applied for the LSAT. I studied for the LSAT. I took the LSAT and then the numbers came back and they didn't lie. You are not suited for law school. Your test scores are terrible. There were like 3 law schools I could get into from the list of schools that I had on my list. So I said, okay, this is not for you. And what it had me do was really recommit to what I wanted, which was to be a writer. And then I started looking at how I could make a living writing. And it led me to writing for different nonprofit organizations and into fundraising, into a successful nonprofit career. And I share that story with you as part of this topic because sometimes you could be ignoring the signs that you're not living life based on what's real for you. You may be living life based on what someone else's dream was for you. And so the way that you know that you're not living an authentic life is that maybe you're not happy. Maybe you're not excited. Maybe you're actually feeling like you're failing because it's just not meant for you. Just because you got negative scores on a test doesn't mean that you're a failure or that you're dumb. It could mean that that's not what you are meant to do in life. That's not your calling. And so some of you are chasing someone else's dream and it's not working out for you, not because there's something wrong with you, but just because it's not your dream. It's not what you're meant to do. It's not your calling. And so I wanted to, bring that up for you in case you've been feeling like there's something not right. There's something not clicking for you in life. There's something that's not going well for you. It's not feeling like this happy life that you envision for yourself. And so what you would need to do in that moment is to go back and think about what were those things that had you be excited about life before? What were those things that had you feel creative, feel embodied, feel really like you were making a difference in the world in some way? Because it's very easy to get off track. It's very easy to choose to do the thing that makes sense, the thing that seems easy, the thing that seems logical, rational, realistic, all those words that we're supposed to gravitate towards as adults. You know, I've heard so many women come through our Happy Black Woman community and say, well, I would do X, but I have to be an adult. Being an adult doesn't mean that you have to be somebody that you're not. It doesn't mean that you have to do something that you don't want to do, but it does mean that you have to take responsibility for your life and for your happiness. And so if you've been doing something that's not making you happy, whether it's being in a career you don't want to be in a business you don't want to be in a relationship you don't want to be in, then you have the responsibility to change that. Because I agree with Mark Nepo that if we are to live a good life, it has to be authentic. It has to be real for us. It can't be us living out someone else's dream and wondering why it doesn't feel like a dream. It feels more like a nightmare when you're trying to be somebody that you're not. What I learned for myself over the years is that I'm always going to be who I am. There's nothing that is going to change who I am. You can pretend to be someone else for a time, for a moment, but you're never going to truly be that person you're pretending to be, if that makes sense. At some point, the walls come crashing down, you know, the cards fall, and you have to come back to yourself. And for many women, especially Black women, it is a painful realization that you have to pick up the pieces and really go back to who you are, who you have always been, and who you've always known yourself to be. It's easy to get off track, but it's not that difficult to get back on track if you commit to the process. And so, you know, over the years, I thought that maybe I would find out something different about myself. I thought I would find that maybe I wasn't this, you know, romantic, idealistic, writer, creative type of person. And what I found is that I am that person, and I am never going to be anyone else. Everything that I've built, even in my business, has been on my creativity, has been on my willingness to write and share my journey with other people. And so it's important to know that you are who you are. There's no need to change who you are, but there may need to be a rediscovery process so that you can make sure that you're making the decisions that are right for you, that are authentic to you. And you're not just doing it because it makes sense. You know, hey, I've already done 3 years in my PhD program. Maybe I should just keep going. You know, this is your life we're talking about. I have been there too. I've been in a PhD program. I've been in relationships that just were not carrying me to the place that I knew I wanted to be in my life. And so I just quit. I quit jobs. I quit a PhD program after, you know, less than a year because I knew it wasn't where I wanted to go. I knew it wasn't taking me where I wanted to go. I've left relationships because I knew it wasn't going where I wanted to go. And the longer you're on a road that you don't want to be on, the longer it's going to take you to get back to the place where you made the wrong turn. So if you're in that space now, I invite you to really be honest with yourself and really say, am I being authentic? Is the reason why I'm unhappy right now because I'm not being true to myself? I'm trying to impress my mom. I'm trying to be a good daughter. I'm trying to live up to society's expectation. I want to be a successful Black woman, and I want to be able to say that I have all these degrees and, you know, that I have my own home, even though my mortgage is killing me and I have to work twice as hard to keep this house. The things that you think to yourself at night when you go to bed are thoughts that hundreds of Black women in our community think all the time. And we come together and we have those conversations together so that you don't have to have those thoughts on your own. So I do invite you to not just have that inquiry for yourself, but also get connected to a community of women who can help you sort things out. And to do that, I would recommend our community, the Happy Black Woman Tribe. We are having an event coming up that is geared towards helping you live an authentic life. And the event is called the Happy Black Woman Summer Camp. It's happening August 3rd through the 6th in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. We have some incredible women coming who are totally committed to having 4 days of self-care, play, creativity, and sisterhood to help you find your way back home. I know how difficult this process could be, especially when you do it on your own. Yeah, it could be you and your journal, writing it out, hashing it out. But what we're going to be doing at summer camp is really helping you to get back to you, helping you reconnect with yourself, helping you really think through some of those places in your life where you're not sure if you're being true to yourself, where you're not clear on why you're not happy when from the outside looking in, you should be happy. I've done a lot of things in my life where people looked at it like, you should be happy. You have a good job. You have, a nice boyfriend, he's got a nice car. And I'm like, it's not my car. It's not my money. I want my own version of success. And to other people, it may not make sense. And so I want to invite you to come join us at summer camp so you can make sure that you're living your own version of happiness, that you're creating your own version of success. So I'm going to be teaching a workshop that I've never taught before at summer camp called Write Your Way Back Home. It's about how to use journaling like I do, even on the plane, to really stay connected to yourself and who you are so you don't forget, because it's easy to forget. We'll also be taking advantage of what summer camp has to offer. We're going to be in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. It's about 2.5 hours from Atlanta. We are in the woods, ladies. We're going to be in cabins. We're going to get away from all the noise of the city so that we can listen to our inner voices. And so we're going to be in cabins. We're going to have our bonfire sister circle. When you come, there's going to be a welcome bonfire where you get to know each other and bond and really set your intention for what you want to get out of the weekend. And we're going to have plenty of time for not just workshops, journaling, but also creativity. So there's going to be, of course, arts and crafts. There's going to be a labyrinth where you can do a meditation and reflection walk on the property. There is a lake. There's plenty of space for you to walk and be alone, but also time for you to be in community with your sisters. We're going to have a pajama jam where you can really let loose and put on your cute PJs and dance with your sisters, let it all out. We're also going to have a talent show and karaoke night. So truly you can bond on a sister-to-sister level. It doesn't have to be about what you do, what your career is, what your business is. It's not about that at all. So you can leave your business cards at home. It's not that. It's about you coming back to you and connecting with other women at that level. And so I invite you to join us. It's going to be a beautiful experience. I'm going to be there doing the same thing you're doing, making sure that I am living my life from an authentic place. So all you have to do to find out more about the summer camp is go to happyblackwoman.com/summer camp. And registration is open now. We have a $200 off early bird promotion. And when you go there, you'll see all the details about the summer camp, where it is, how to get there, all that good stuff, so you know what to expect. And certainly this is a different event for us. It's all inclusive because we're going to be in cabins. So it's not like we're going to be doing, our normal 4 or 5 star hotels. We're going to be in cabins. We're going to be in the woods. And so everything is included: your lodging, your meals, our location, even though it's camping, camping, it's good food. We got your gluten-free, we got your vegetarian, we got your vegan. I got you. I understand food is important. It's important to me too. So the lodging is covered. Your meals are covered. All the workshops and activities are covered for you. All you have to do is bring your beautiful self and we will take care of the rest. happyblackwoman.com/summer camp. I hope to see you very, very soon. Until next time, have a beautiful day, everybody, and make sure that you are living an authentic life. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Happy Black Woman podcast. If you want all the show's notes from today's episode, go to happyblackwomanpodcast.com. Plus, we'll send you a copy of Rosetta's free life mapping workbook. We look forward to empowering you next time. And until then, do something this week that makes you happy.